Hi, my name is Dr. Peter Gonzalez here at North Point Chiropractic, and I would like to share with you and discuss why migraines happen and how you can fix them. And I can speak from personal experience how debilitating migraines can be because I suffered from them for years. I used to get migraines 3 to 4 days a week to the point where I couldn't function. I would lose half my vision before they'd show up, get the scintillating scotoma, or those blind spots, and then have horrific pain for 3 to 4 hours over and over again. And I tried everything with almost no results at all until I found a different kind of chiropractic care. And that really led me to my journey and passion to correct migraines at the root cause, which I believe we've really found. And that's why our success rate at North Point Chiropractic is so unbelievably high at actually correcting the problem at the root cause. So they go away and they stay away so you can get back to thriving and living your life the way you deserve to, which is feeling amazing and functioning amazing through every phase of life. When we're looking at migraines, we want to figure out not just how to treat the symptoms. We want to know why they're happening and address them at the root cause. So a migraine is not just a headache. It's neurological overload. It's when your brain and your nervous system become dysfunctional, and it often comes with things like light sensitivity, nausea, and visual disturbances. So something I'd like to show you is a video on YouTube of just what that scintillating scotoma really looks like, and that's the visual disturbances that are most common. When these show up, that's because they start in the occipital lobe of the brain, and that's in charge of vision. And that's why visual disturbances happen. It's the most common area for a migraine to start in its root just because of its proximity to the upper part of the neck, which is where I'll show you is where most of the time we have nerve compression causing the migraines to begin with. We do sometimes see atypical migraines where if the migraine begins in the cortex, where in charge of sensation in the hands, for example. I've had plenty of patients where they say, hey, before I get the migraine, my hands feel wet, or I get a weird smell. Those are not as common, but they're also something that can happen. Now, when I show you this video, this is a video from the Mayo Clinic, just pulled it off of YouTube, but it's a great visual description of what a scotoma can look like, or that visual disturbance. And what you're seeing right here is this blind spot forming. Usually takes a little longer for it to progress, but they fast forward on here. And these little wavy lines and colors, that's what's called a depolarization event. Like I said just before, sometimes that shows up in different parts of the brain and we have different weird symptoms. These are called a prodrome, which is the precursor to the actual pain and the blood vessel swelling. But seeing that visual disturbance is because the neurons are depolarizing. So what that means is the polarity, the positive and negative, are basically flipping. So if you imagine it kind of like a drop of water landing in a bucket full of water, as soon as that drop of water hits the bucket, it actually ripples out. So right where the water droplet starts, that's the beginning of the stress or the trigger. The rippling is what you're seeing in that visual disturbance. Again, occipital lobe is usually the culprit there. So what's really happening is there's misalignments in the spine that can put pressure on the nerves. So we know that the brain controls everything in our body. It does that through the central nervous system, through that spinal cord, and then all the nerves exit out through every part of the spine that go to pretty much every organ, cell, and tissue we have. We require healthy nerve supply to function, and if that gets disrupted by a misalignment in the spine, which we call a subluxation, that's when we start getting problems. And that can cause neck pain, that can cause headaches, it can cause tightness and stiffness and tension, but it can also lead to things like migraines. Very often we'll see in our practice here, people come in with sciatica or disc herniations, and those we can definitely help. But migraines are really interesting because they always come with the same set of 1 to 3 problems. First, when we look at an x-ray, we're looking through somebody's mouth at the upper part of the neck, and you can see that their head is kinked off to the side, and what I'm measuring here is the first vertebra. And if that's tilted, we get compression. That tilted head position, the nerve compression, and the impact on the brain and nerves, that's when the blood flow starts to get diminished, and we start getting this trigger of that depolarization event. We start with a misalignment that causes nerve compression. That starts to disrupt the blood flow. That causes brain irritation, and that's when we get migraine symptoms. Now, a really key piece here, if you've tried everything or you've been to doctors for this before, maybe you haven't, the medical system largely lives in this space right here. They're treating the symptoms. They're trying to get the pain to not exist or try to get you to feel the pain less so you can function, which is a great thing, but it's looking way down the line in terms of what's happening. Some medications or treatments, even Excedrin migraine, for example, has caffeine. That's looking more to reduce pain. It's down the line and affect some of the blood flow by getting vessels to dilate, blood flow to move more freely, but it's still not looking at root cause. What we do is we want to look at where is the misalignment causing this all to begin with. So the first case I want to show you is a 14-year-old. This individual came in to see us because they're getting migraines, and the first thing we did was take x-rays. When we're looking at their neck from this is left, right is right, so we're looking back to front. The first thing we can see is this major kink at the top of the neck. The head is tilted off to the side, not just because of their posture, because you can even see their eyes are relatively level. It's deep inside. C1 and C2 are stuck way off, tilted to the side, causing compression by the brainstem. On top of that, we look at their neck from the side, and we can see that their curve, the neck should have a nice smooth C curve actually following this purple line. Their curve has been lost where it's dropping forward, creating more tension and traction on the spinal cord. With that, we did some nervous system scans. These nervous system scans are very helpful to give us more data around what's happening. The postural energy, this is looking at surface EMG. It's the electrical activity controlling the tiny little muscles of the spine that hold us up against gravity. Every time we move and shift, we should see that the muscles fire very consistently with a healthy pattern throughout the entire spine. What we can see here, this should all be white. Green is mild, blue is moderate, red is severe stress, and black is off the charts. And we can see most of this individual stress is coming from the neck, primarily coming off to the side right by where we see the kink in the neck. We see that there's a little bit in the low back happening as well. And when we look at the temperature balance, this is a neurothermal scan. We should see all white, and we see one spot with stress right up by the brainstem. This next person is also dealing with migraines and has a very similar story. This person is 15 years old, and we see that as we follow the neck, same kind of deal. Their head is tilted off to the side. C1 and C2 are kinked, causing pressure by the brainstem. We see that these two lines, the vertical lines, they should intersect each other, and they are shifted off to the side, which shows there's also rotation, another way to create more compression by the brainstem. On top of that, we look at the C curve. Should be a nice C curve following this purple line. Instead, their curve has flattened out, and C1 should be angled up by about 28 degrees. This is almost parallel with the floor. That's taking the brainstem and making it like a kink in a garden hose. We look at their nerve scans. Same kind of story. Lots of stress on the surface EMG, looking at the muscles of the spine, should all be white, and we see lots of red, blue, and green. A little bit in the low back showing up for this individual as well. We look at the neurological stress, that temperature balance, all white, except right at the top. We see two big red hot spots, which help us pinpoint exactly where it's coming from. Same story again. This is a 30-year-old also dealing with migraines. They have less of a tilt, but it's still there where C1's kinked off to the side. But we can see where these lines coming from the nose straight down, they are not connected. We see a large amount of rotation at C2. Curve should follow the purple line, and here we have flattened out curve. And again, we see on the temperature balance some stress showing up, but the surface EMG really tells us the story in this individual where those muscles of the spine are working extremely hard across the entire neck. Now, this individual is in their 50s, also dealing with migraines. Now, the key here is they've had this issue for a long time. So we see that big lean in the neck, and then the upper part of the spine, the C1, C2, that kinks back towards center, putting a lot of pressure by the brainstem. We see that show up, especially on their neurothermal, and we're seeing where that's all showing up and why it's causing migraines. But a really important piece, they've let this go for a long time. So since their curve should follow this purple line, but instead it's reversing and going the wrong direction, and then they left it there for many years, gravity kept pushing down, and now we see where these yellow lines are pointing, a lot of permanent damage and arthritis. The discs have worn out. These points coming off the front, that's spondylosis or osteoarthritis. That's new bone growing where it shouldn't as a stress adaptation. Basically, the body is basically adapting to excess force and stress in the wrong place. This person is still going to get really good results with reducing the frequency of their migraines and feeling a lot better. But we can no longer correct the problem because the curve is now lost and permanently fusing, and we can't get the curve back to how it's supposed to be. And it just really highlights the urgency to say, If you're having this problem, don't wait. Take action right away before it starts causing permanent damage and you're stuck with something that we can't fix unless you go down the surgical route, which I would highly recommend you avoid if possible. We see that because this has gotten so bad, the surface EMG is showing that there is neurological stress, there is muscular stress, alignment issues through the entire body, all red with some black off the charts. It shows us that our neck is not just about neck pain and headaches. It really comes down to function neurologically for the entire system. So what do we do to fix it? We correct the cause, not chase after symptoms. Number one is realigning the system. We look at correcting subluxations or misalignments so that everything lines up well and we take pressure off the nerves. This restores motion and stuck joints. This relieves pressure on the nerves and improves communication between the brain and the body. So when we restore alignment, nervous system stress decreases and the body can function the way that it's designed to. With all of our patients, we look at the whole picture. This is not just chiropractic alignment and it's the end all be all. It is the number one most important thing that we do, but we also want to make sure that we're looking at nervous system stress across the board. We want to make sure someone's getting proper hydration, nutrition, reducing environmental stressors, things like artificial fragrance, food we eat, the air we breathe. Toxic exposure can cause a lot of stress in the nervous system, and making sure that rest and recovery is adequate. Our goal is to remove interference, support the body, and empower you to live a life with less pain, more freedom, and healthy function through every phase of life. We would love the opportunity to help you. We will always customize care to exactly what your needs are, what your goals are, and the techniques we choose are always going to be safe and effective based on what your scans and x-rays show us and what your goals are for your health. What you can see in this picture, this is somebody getting adjusted with an instrument called an activator. We can adjust the spine in a variety of ways, but what we typically find is that with migraine patients, there's a lot of neurological sensitivity. Less is more, and if we focus on a more specific and gentle alignment, we can usually get the results to last and actually stick. We want to look at cause and get you all the way to correction and make sure that we're not overstimulating the system in the process. I hope this video was helpful in understanding why migraines happen and ways that you can fix them. If you're interested in seeing us in office, we would love the opportunity to serve you, and we'd love to offer you the gift of health. Our normal examination, which is full exam consultation, full spinal x-rays, and the nervous system scans, that is normally $220. On the second visit, we'll go over the results and come up with a plan customized to you. But if you would like to sign up with us today, the promotional rate for that is just $65, the cost of one adjustment, just so you can see how we can help and get our recommendations. Click on the link to schedule the evaluation. You can also follow this QR code to bring you to our self-scheduler to pick a time that works best for you. Invest in your health and live your best life. Our job is to serve you, and we really hope to see you soon. I really hope that this video was helpful for you to understand where migraines come from and why they happen. So often we'll see people experiencing migraines and they think, well, it's just my hormones, or it's just my cycle, or it's just stress. But not everybody gets migraines. They're really common, but they are not normal. We would love the opportunity to serve you and see if we can help. Give us a call or click on the link to schedule your appointment, and we'll see you at your first visit. Have a great day.